Welcome to this Sunday's reflection on the Gospel. We are celebrating Pentecost Sunday. Well, I have always been intrigued by Ezekiel's vision of the dry bones. You remember Ezekiel saw all the dry bones in the big valley, and God asks him to prophesy over the bones, and they come back together and start growing tendons and flesh over them. Still, there was no breath in them. So God asks Ezekiel to prophesy again, and breath came into them, and they came to life. Let's turn to Apocalypse now. I'm referring to the COVID crisis in the world. Well, this apocalypse that the world is passing through has deconstructed our elaborate and apparently secure way of life. Life seems to have screeched to a halt. Everyone was obliged to retreat in his or her little corner, concentrating on survival. But where has life gone? When will it come back? Our technological magic came up with a brilliant answer. The internet. Distance will be defeated. You see, we can see each other, connect, interact. Life is back to a new normal, as they say. And yet, how many of us are longing for a hug, a kiss, a shared meal? The bones seem all in place, but where is the life and the breath? Faces, conversations, school, family are all there, but they are crammed into a boxed, glassy screen. Tap and touch those magic boxes. All you feel is the cold, slippery glass of the screens or the grimy keys of the computer. And we still thirst for the real thing. The shapes, the colors, sounds are there, but they look real. But are they real? The pain in the eyes and hearts of people is so evident. When shall I be able to hug my daughter, my son, my mom? When will the churches open so I can have the Eucharist and receive communion in the company of my brothers and sisters? The bones and flesh are there, but they still lack life, like food in a shop. It is there, but it is behind a glass pane that is the shop window, and the moneyless beggar sees the food but cannot eat. Everything is there, locked behind a pane of glass, and therefore unreachable. And God says to Ezekiel, prophesy, Son of Man. Say to it, come breath from the four winds, breathe into these slain, that they may live. Oh, come, Holy Spirit, breathe some life into our poor world. This is the Spirit of love, the Holy Spirit, as we call him. It is he who gathers us from all the four corners of the world to have life and life in abundance. Our bones and our flesh are thirsty for the Spirit. Long before COVID, our human cultures have been concentrating so much on our flesh and bones. What we call the standard of living is too often and too superficially, it is just the satisfaction of the needs of our bodies, making gods out of our money, comfort, market economy, consumer society, technology, politics. COVID came and sowed confusion in the pantheon of these human gods we adore. The towers came tumbling down. Glass boxes were shattered, and the valley became filled with the dry bones, our lean economies, our shuttered shops, our car-free roads. Yet our togetherness is the frail voice of the Spirit. Believers and non-believers alike, we all crave to go to church, not just the church buildings, But more importantly, the church is the sacred place where we can find the source of living waters in each other and with each other. We crave not just for the skin deep touch, the tapping on our iPad. We're all thirsty and craving for a heart to heart embrace through a body that, even in its fragility and mortality, is our only way of experiencing a life that has no beginning and no end. May this crisis wake us up to the full reality of who we are, temples of God, temples of the Spirit of love. How wonderful it would be if not only churches, but also homes, factories, supermarkets, political establishments, every other human place and space, starting living up to their true nature, through vocation, to be sacred spaces where people experience how good and how wonderful it is when brothers and sisters live as one. This is Pentecost. It is the transformation of the dry bones of our humanity by the one Spirit of love bringing us together and making us out of many one. It is only God's Spirit of love that is capable of performing this greatest of miracles, turning our wildest dreams into reality. Because only the Spirit of love can reconcile our two seemingly and opposed fundamental human needs. Well, the first need is our desire to be unique, irreplaceable, the original me. No one like me. Like the little child who was asked by her teacher, "What would you like to become when you grow up?" And the child simply and courageously replied, "Myself, miss." Each one of us is the living witness of God's constant and infinite newness. He is incapable of repeating himself. His works are always unique, special, precious for their own sake, born out of an infinite source of creative love that makes each creature an original, unrepeatable treasure. This is the source of our diversity: race, color, gender, character, nationality, faith. This is the source of our dignity. And yet, no man is an island. Being unique and different does not mean that I have to be better or worse than others. Being special does not mean being singled out to be some kind of privileged creature. Being a unique treasure does not mean that I possess the whole treasure. I am only part of the treasure and not the beginning and end of it all. That's why we still have the second big need of life: to be together, one with others, and not isolated and lonely. I am precious, but I am not the whole picture. Diversity shines brightest when it leads to communion with others, not when it creates division or competition with others. This is why the flame of the Holy Spirit came down on the apostles in individual flames, hovering over each one to mark the diversity and dignity of each single person. And yet, it is the same one fire that lights up within them, making them truly one in their rich and precious diversity. No flame on its own can do justice and transmit the brightness of the sun. Yet the sun cannot reach anyone except through someone. The fire spreads through sparks. It's the only way for the whole world to be set on fire. If we spread each little spark that we have received from the Son of Justice, God, through Christ. In simple terms, Pentecost is a double joy. The joy of receiving the wonderful gift of our uniqueness, specialness, preciousness as beloved children of God. But it is also the joy of being sent out to share the gift we have received by becoming ourselves the gift to others, each one in his or her own way, in his or her own time. Thus, Pentecost is also the great gift of togetherness. Like the disciples, we are all gathered in the same room around Mary, our mother, through whom we have received the gift of Jesus. What each one of us has ultimately belongs to those that we are sharing our life with. Because the only way to really receive the gift of love is to give it. That upper room is the heart of God. The gift received and given is the Spirit of God, the Spirit of love, which is the only real source and meaning of life. Today's feast is indeed a gift to be celebrated. If we all have the courage to go out to give it, let us open wide the doors of our own hearts, our own minds, so that we may reach out towards our brothers and sisters who are still imprisoned in the darkness of hate and division. May the Holy Spirit fill us with this boundless joy and give us the strength and courage to leave the coziness of our small personal world, to spread the fire of His love. May the Holy Spirit fill us with this boundless joy and give us the strength and courage to leave the coziness of our small personal world, to spread the fire of His love wherever He sends us. God is not only online, He is fully alive on the holy ground we are standing on. And we are called to be His prophets. God bless you. Happy Pentecost, and thank you.